and they were used as for hunting, but also it was for weapons of war. The Diné, prior to the arrival of the Europeans, they had various weapons, and the bow and the arrow is the one that most people are familiar with. Is would be the arrow, would be the bow, and that was the one that most people are familiar with, is the bow and the arrow. That was used. And there's another one that they used to lay the arrow across the long shaft, and then they would throw it, and that was called Allah. I think today they kind of use that word and they say aladal, and but I think that it is a word that was originally what the Diné referred to, that particular type of a weapon to throw an arrow or an arrow point. And then of course they had the spear and the axe, or the tomahawk, or maybe is what most people might call it. But when the Europeans arrived, they had a new weapon that was introduced to the native people. And the Diné, actually, if you were to look at history, they are the ones that actually picked up the gun or the rifle first. And the very first weapon that they acquired and learned how to use was the early muzzle loaders back in the latter 1500s. And the word that they used to apply for that firearm was called binalkai, because the way you would load it is from the barrel, and you would put the portion of the gunpowder down inside the barrel, and then you would put the ball, and then you would push that down in there, and then you'd have a small wad of cloth that you would push down and after the ball, so they would hold the ball and the powder in place. And then from the outside you'd had a flint that was to strike a small portion of gunpowder, and that would ignite, and then that would ignite the gunpowder that was inside of the rifle in the chamber, and that would ignite and cause the explosion, and it would force the ball down the barrel and out of the target. And so that's what they call the muzzle loader, is binalka. But today there are several different other types of firearms. The shotgun, for example, today they, in great error, they still call it binalka, which is, but other names I've heard it called is bakatsan, which means that has many bullets that come out of the barrel. Bakatsan, it would be the shotgun. And the rifle, any rifle, would be called avid. That would be anything, a 22, a 30-30, a 30-06, a 270, and any of those types of a rifle. And so those are called avid. The name for the smaller handguns and that is Belton. And when the Spaniards came, they had the smaller version of a muzzle loader, but it was shorter, and that's where the first name was applied to the handgun that was shorter, is Belton, which is the long gun that was the muzzle loader, later became known as Belton, and that was it, Belton. The way that our people referred to the firearms is describing the thing that it did or how it was loaded. and how quickly it would fire, such as a machine gun, and the cannon size when they were using heavy artillery. Even the mortar had a special name in that, or the gun that would just sit, and that would be something that our mortar would do, and they were used as for hunting, but also it was for weapons of war. And to this day, you know, there's still a lot to be understood about the history of the Diné and how they were able to adapt. And the Diné were the very first native people to understand the use of the firearm after the Europeans arrived here. And those are the things that we are told.